This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a couple of central Dunedin blocks are closed as police investigate a suspicious item in a car. A hero's welcome almost brings a world motocross champion to tears. And opposition leader Simon Bridges is promising National would help fund a maternity centre in Lumsden if elected. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. A Central City's Dunedin supermarket has reopened after it was swarmed by police when an item of potential concern was seen in a parked vehicle this morning. However, it was a bit of a fizzer, as a Dunedin man was simply handing in a practice mortar he'd been given by a friend.
Looking like the real thing, but safely full of sand and not explosives.
I came down to see a gentleman who worked for exhibits, but he wasn't here. So of course then I had to sort of say, well, this is what I've got. I'd left it in the car.
Police cordoned off Countdown Supermarket and Great King Streets mid-morning after Dunedin man Dennis Hodge let police know he had a practice mortar in his car. He says he knew it wasn't the real thing, although admits to not having any military training.
They've got to cover themselves, so I went in and asked to speak to someone that I knew, and yeah, this is the outcome of it.
Several blocks in central Dunedin were cordoned off by police for around an hour. Some people were allowed into the Countdown car park to retrieve their vehicles, but others were told to stay clear. And Hodge says police had to be sure it was safe.
I was fully aware of the response, and I take my hat off to them. You know, everything very cool, calm and collected.
During the alert, people were allowed to drive away their cars already parked in the car park, but no new shoppers were allowed to drive in, and pedestrians were not allowed to walk through the central car park area. And Hodge says the item is significant to him, as it belonged to a gravely ill friend.
If it hasn't got any danger to anyone else, I've asked that I can have it back again.
Police appreciate being advised of the bomb, but say in future they'd prefer people giving them a phone call, which lets them investigate the bomb in its initial location, rather than bringing it to the Central Police Station. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A group of Tucker Beach residents have been successful in their attempt to join an appeal against a farming family's bid to rezone its land. The Middleton Family Trust has plans to rezone a large part of its rural land near Queenstown Hill as low-density residential. If rezoned, the land could become a housing development with more than 200 homes. Environment Court Judge John Hassan initially said the Tucker Beach Residents Society Incorporated had no standing and struck its notice out. A year later, the judge has said the society had actually filled several affidavits, submissions and evidence in support which regrettably had not been considered. He recalled his first decision and found the society did have standing to be party to proceedings. About 100 Palmerston residents abandoned the town for the evening, setting up camp at Dunedin Airport to welcome home their world champion. Somehow Courtney Duncan held back the tears only just.
Touching down to a hero's welcome. Women's motocross world champion Courtney Duncan celebrating with fans, whānau and friends last night at Dunedin Airport.
I've known all these people in here pretty much my whole life, and all of these people have been through it with me. I mean, it's hard to describe it, like, especially the city in general. Like, I come home 3 years in a row and with failures, but still the city raised me, you know, each and every time. So to be able to come home this time and bring the medal, you know, not only for myself but for these people in the city, it's special.
The recently crowned women's motocross world champion conceded she was on the verge of tears during an emotional haka from pupils from East Otago High School, her old school. And Duncan is pleased she can put past disappointments behind her.
This is my 4th year, and each time previously I'd arrived home with disappointments, and in a roundabout way I felt like I failed in the past because I'd set a goal for myself, and that was to win, and I fell off a little bit short each time, and not this year. We changed that, we bring it home.
She completely dominated the Women's Championship this season, winning 9 out of 10 races in the competition, claiming the title with a race to spare. But she remembers being a kid and dreaming of competing at this level.
It means so much. I mean, I remember watching TV at like 13 years of age, and World Championships was on. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was just watching, saying like, that's going to be me one day, and you know, I'm going to be world champion one day. And it's obviously taken a lot longer than expected, but we finally got it.
Enjoying embraces with whānau and signing items for fans brings it all home for the 23-year-old, who's been among the fastest women on the circuit since entering the competition in 2016. With the season at an end, she's home for a while, which, when she's not racing, is her happy place.
Especially for me, when I'm happy, I go to the track and ride with confidence, and when I ride with confidence, I think I've shown that it's difficult to beat me, so it's definitely work that I've commuted this year.
While she's set to enjoy the break, she's also looking forward to next year's contest.
It was a pretty dominant year, and to win 9 out of 10, it's going to be hard to back that up next year, but we'll try.
Duncan started racing the boys when she was about 7 years old, and was barely a teenager when she decided she wanted to be a world champion one day. Mission accomplished. In Dunedin, the South Today.
3 new measles cases have been confirmed in Queenstown today, taking the total number of cases to 29. 28 of those are Queenstown residents. The Southern District Health Board says vaccine supplies remain limited, and the Ministry of Health is advising DHBs to prioritise MMR vaccinations for 15-month and 4-year-old children. Measles symptoms include high fever, cough, runny nose, sore watery red eyes, and a rash starting on the head or neck. If you or a family member suspect that you have measles, you should stay at home and call your doctor or health line on 0800 611 116. The virus is highly contagious and spreads easily from person to person through the air, so try to avoid waiting rooms. A National Party promised to provide half the money for a birthing unit in Wanaka if it is elected next year would only partly solve maternity service problems. That was the verdict of some listening to party leader Simon Bridges outline National's proposal at a meeting in Wanaka yesterday.
Get on to having a birthing unit here in Wanaka for mums to give birth in.
National Party leader Simon Bridges promising a new birthing unit for Wanaka should they get elected. With over 150 babies born in the district over the past year, locals are saying there's a need for a birthing unit to be built in the town. But it won't come cheap, and a national government would only pay for half of it, with the community having to pay for the other half.
The estimate is that a birthing unit is going to cost around $500,000, and the leader has committed today that National will fund dollar for dollar on that funding. So that is why we have formed, or are forming, we've got a group and we're going to form a charitable trust, which is a vehicle for fundraising, and at the same time we're going to work with the local community about, what does a really decent birthing unit look like.
Local mother Kimberly Davis asks why the birthing unit can't be totally funded by the District Health Board.
We shouldn't have to be personally accountable as a community for providing what is a fundamental health service.
Waitaki MP Jackie Dean points out that community-owned health facilities are not an unusual thing.
The Charlotte Jean Maternity Centre in Alexandra is a wonderful little facility which is privately owned. And it can do what it does and take the good care of the women who come into birth in there because it's privately owned. Oamaru Hospital, Maniatoto Health Services are privately owned on behalf of the community.
Davis says there's a bigger picture of a failing rural health system which needs to be addressed.
We want the realities of giving birth in a remote rural community like Wanaka to be factored into how the maternity system is structured, so that means better units, more pay for our midwives.
In Wanaka, the South Today.
Still to come on the south today. The Pineapple Track and all other walking tracks on Flagstaff reopen after Monday's scrub fire, and a small colony of New Zealand sea lions on Stewart Island could boost local sea lion populations. So stay with us.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489-2274.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins, and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy one pair, save $25. Buy two, save $60, and we have a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Welcome back. Tracks on Dunedin's Flagstaff Hill have been reopened after Monday's scrub fire swept across 30 hectares of vegetation. Fire crews grubbing for and dousing hotspots among the flax and tussock were finally stood down from the site yesterday. The Pineapple Track and all other walking tracks on Flagstaff, as well as the Flagstaff-Whare Flat Road, have all been reopened. During the blaze, parts of Dunedin were covered by a smoky haze as firefighters, aided by 8 helicopters, fought the flames. Several years ago, a small but thriving colony of New Zealand sea lions were discovered in a remote harbour on Stewart Island. Massey University Professor Louise Chilvers says several of the pups born at Port Pegasus are visiting beaches around Otago and may eventually help boost the population along Otago coast.
Sea lions relaxing at Sandfly Bay on the Otago Peninsula. There are now about a dozen female sea lions raising pups each year along the Otago and Southland coast. While their numbers remain low, this may all change with an influx of visiting sea lions from a recently discovered colony on Stewart Island.
We knew there was subadult males and males on Stewart Island, but we didn't know that there was females with pups.
After giving out questionnaires to hunters on Stewart Island, Professor Chilvers came up trumps in 2010 with a sighting in Port Pegasus.
Someone sent a photo of 3 females and 5 pups in it, so it was like, okay. So the next year I arranged to go down there and have a look and see if we could find these pups.
Compared to Otago's wide open beaches, the newly discovered colony is located on a wild and remote part of Stewart Island, and it's proving quite a task to count the pups.
They are breeding, 100 metres up above sea level on a ridge line in massive beech forests. So they're really well hidden. That's actually one of the greatest things about this research was it took us so long to find them, and it's still every single year they're in different places, and we spend 10 days working really hard just to find as many pups as we do.
With more than 35 pups being born each year on Stewart Island, the sea lions there are considered to be a viable colony, and there's hope the species will reclaim the New Zealand-wide coastline where they lived in pre-human times.
It's the first colony away from the subantarctics in 200 years, so it's quite a big thing for New Zealand sea lions. They used to breed all the way up to Cape Reinga, all through Nelson, right out to the Chathams even, and they were wiped off. And so, they've only just been coming back in the last 20-odd years.
Researchers have recorded a number of visits to the Otago coastline by sea lions born on Stewart Island. While most females choose to give birth where they themselves were born, some from Stewart Island could eventually join other breeding females on Otago beaches.
Actually, I think it's going to mean quite a lot for the colony up here. Even the limited amount of resighting that we've seen between the animals, so tag resighting, there's been an amazing number seen up here. I think it's 70 or so animals, including 3 or 4 2- and 3-year-old females, which is really significant because females are very, it's called philopatric. They love to go back and give birth where they were born.
And both Stewart Island and Otago seem to suit the sea lions well.
Adult females are on average at least 15 kilos heavier up here than they are from the Auckland Islands. And that's really a sign that they are, foraging easier, their access to prey is easier for them, and they're just doing better all round.
Unfortunately, it's not all good news. Over the past 20 years, the number of pups produced on the subantarctic islands of Auckland and Campbell have almost halved from 3,000 to well under 2,000 per year. Research by University of Otago Associate Professor Bruce Robertson suggests that the decline of sea lions at the Auckland and Campbell Islands is because the population is being harmed when they are caught up as bycatch on New Zealand's deep water trawlers. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, the Dunedin public are invited to a dazzling light display at Glenfalloch Garden this weekend, and we see what the weekend's weather has in store for us, so see you after the break.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. For a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chill.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Thanks for staying with us. A man managed to free himself, escaping with only minor injuries after a forklift tipped in Bluff. Fire and Emergency New Zealand says it was called to the incident at Southport mid-morning. A forklift at the port had tipped over and the man involved was treated for minor injuries by St John at the scene. Police say they were called to the incident on Foreshore Road in Bluff just after 10 a.m. and arrived shortly after that time. Dunedin's public are invited to view the colourful light displays at Glenfelloch Garden this weekend. A number of Dunedin artists have contributed to the illuminated sculptures and installations around the garden. While the restaurant is fully booked out, food trucks are on site for those wanting to snack on barbecue buns, hot chocolate and mulled wine. With entry by gold coin donation, the event runs from 6:30 until 10 both tonight and Saturday. Free shuttle buses are set to run from Bunnings Car Park in South Dunedin, and harbour cruises from Otago Yacht Club to the Glenfelloch Pier can also be purchased. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. A couple of central Dunedin blocks are closed as police investigate a suspicious item in a car, but it was only a sand-filled dummy. A hero's welcome almost brings a world motocross champion to tears as she touched down in Dunedin last night, greeted by supporters. And speaking in the South yesterday, opposition leader Simon Bridges promises National will help fund a maternity centre in Lumsden if elected. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Craig Page. What have you got for us?
Good evening. Yeah, we've got an interesting story about what's been labelled a harrowing report from the Southern District Health Board about the growing accommodation crisis in central Otago. Reports of many people living in camping grounds or living rough because they simply can't afford rents or to buy houses in the area. Residents in Cromwell and Alex are being displaced basically by Queenstown workers who are having to move further afield themselves to afford accommodation. The report says the housing struggles are also contributing to mental health problems with people in the area and also an increased drug use. So some real problems up there.
Yeah, and it's not something that's going to be fixed quickly either.
No, exactly. I mean, they've come up with 20 recommendations to try and address the issue, but it's going to take a lot of buy-in from a lot of agencies and, I guess, developers, all those sorts of things to try and make it more viable for people to live in those areas. So, tough times. Of course, Rugby World Cup kicks off tonight. That's a widely used term at the moment, kicks off. But Japan up tonight. But of course, the big focus will be tomorrow with the All Blacks playing South Africa. We've got plenty on that leading into it. Many predicting these two teams may meet in the final in about 6 weeks' time, so it will be interesting to see. Lots of games over the weekend. We preview all of those and take a look at who the realistic chances are as well. The weekend mix continues our rugby theme. It looks at the role social media is now having for professional rugby players, but sportsmen in general, or sports people in general, I should say. They're all on their Instagram, Twitter accounts with tens of thousands of followers and helping them push their sponsorship, those sorts of things. So quite an interesting read as well. And also in our weekend mix, the Fleetwood Mac concert tomorrow. We've got a guide to that, where to park, how to get there, how to get into the ground, all those sorts of things. It's going to be the biggest event in the city this weekend, so it's going to be a great weekend for it as well.
Definitely, and hopefully the weather's going to be good too.
Should be.
And speaking of that, now it's time for a look at the weekend's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, spring skies over South Dunedin. Looking at the situation, a fine weekend ahead as an anticyclone slowly departs, with milder northerly airflow developing from Sunday. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect a cloud or two and 15 degrees. Across to the northeast, where Nelson and Blenheim are due for clear skies and 17 degrees. Moving down to Canterbury, Kaikoura and Christchurch, you're due for a few clouds and 14 degrees. Ashburton, you're the pick of the bunch, heading for a very nice 17. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, you can all expect light winds and fine weather. The Catlins and Gore head for 14, while Balclutha and Lumsden should reach 15. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes region, expect light winds and fine weather across this area also. Queenstown and Te Anau head for 14, Wanaka should get to 15, and Alexandra, you're the warmest in the region, aiming for 16 degrees. Up to the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru can look forward to light northeasterlies and fine weather with highs of 14 degrees. Further inland, Twizel and Marama are in for light winds, fine weather and a high of 15 degrees. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with an overnight low of 2 degrees. The fine weather continues to tomorrow, planned for a high of 14 and a low of 4. High cloud increasing late on Sunday with a high of 14 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, fine and cold tonight with an overnight low of 3. Fine tomorrow with long sunny periods and some cloud at time, moderate westerlies, a high of 13 and an overnight low of 3. And it's milder on Sunday with northwesterlies freshening and cloud increasing, a high of 14 and an overnight low of 4. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday and in fact for the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and a safe and happy weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.